there was some news that happened on Tuesday night. Raiders fire head coach Josh McDaniels, Dave Ziegler,
GM.
The GM, and Davante Adams. They asked him. He said, "Well, it was time for some sort of change."
Yeah.
What if you're the Raiders? What would you do if you're the Raiders? They named.
Listen, it was time to change. Sometimes in a relationship, you got to know when to cut your ties. You got to know when to cut your ties when things aren't going well. And the funny thing about it is it's like being in a relationship and you're having kids and your kids don't really like your spouse. Your kids don't really like your spouse. Your family members don't like your spouse. Something got to go. Something got to down. And the one thing
you get rid of the spouse. Hold on. Whoa, time out. Let me get a 20-second time out.
I'm trying to give you an analogy, baby. Stay with me now. I'm just trying to give you an analogy that makes sense. I'm not saying not the spouse you have kids from. Let's say you're with somebody else.
Rail. So if your 10 kids didn't like Rail, if I don't know if your mom and your grandma were alive when you was dating Rail, if they don't like Rail gotta go.
Yeah, Rail met Hurricane Paul at the beginning.
So if mom didn't like Rail, if the kids ain't like Rail gonna have to go.
Oh yeah, she got to go. Boy, I don't play that. You know, boy. I don't
Rail, make him sign a prenup. Now you got to make him sign 2 prenups.
Yeah. Listen, my kids, and my grandma and my mama, they know best, and they can sense, everything before I can sense it, because I'm thinking emotionally, they thinking with logic. You understand me? So back to my analogy. So, boom, the Raiders football team are the kids. You feel me? Mm-hmm. And the spouse that they're not getting along with was McDaniels. Some got to go.
Yeah.
He got to go. So now that change has happened, we're going to see what happens now. New quarterback, Aiden O'Connell. Did I say that right? Did I pronounce his name right? Mm-hmm. Aiden O'Connell. Antonio Pierce.
I like that.
Interim head coach.
Pierce.
I like that.
Mm-hmm.
A coach like that, a former player. Players are going to respond to that extremely well, wanting to play for him. It reminds me of Mike Vrabel. Obviously in Tennessee. Yep. I'm not comparing the two. I'm just using the analogy with a coach being in a position that the players can relate to and want to go out there and win for, or just give your best, at least. Not saying that they didn't for McDaniel, but I think when changes like this happen, for some reason, it changes the mood in the locker room. It changes the morale of the team. And I think they're gonna win, not just this week, but they're gonna have a slew of wins that are just gonna happen. For some reason, every time coaching changes happens, great things happen for a team, offensively and defensively. Right now, let me see. The Raiders are ranked 22nd overall in defense, allowing 23 yards a game. Offensively, they are ranked horribly. They're 30th with only scoring 15 points a game. Yep. So that's going to have to change if you want to make any kind of noise the rest of the season, even though we're in week 9.
My thing is that the Raiders are going to stop having to go for these splashy names. Mm-hmm. Remember, Mark Davis goes out and he gets John Gruden, who's been retired for a decade.
Right.
Bring him out with that antiquated offense. Mm-hmm. And Rich just fills in, gets him to the playoff. You fire him, and then you go get another name, Josh McDaniels. Let me tell you what Josh McDaniels did in 2009 as head coach with the Broncos. They went 8-8. They were 20th in points. The next year, he was fired and they went 4-12. They 19th in points. In 2011, he's the offensive coordinator of the St. Louis Rams. They go 2-14. They're dead last in points. Last year, they were pretty good in points scored. They were 6-11. This year, they're 3-5, 30th in points scored. And if you notice, now think about this now. Here's a guy that got fired. He left because he was trying to bring the Spygate bull jive to the Broncos. Right. Mr. B wasn't having it. Mm-hmm. Okay. He goes back, he has a little pit stop over in St. Louis. Mm-hmm. He goes back to New England, tries to rehabilitate himself, they get back to the Super Bowl. He's a tremendous offensive mind. Yeah. And maybe that's where he's best suited as just an offensive coordinator. And that's okay. That's okay, Ocho. And then he gets the job at the Colts. Then he decides last minute,
I ain't going.
The facts that I ain't going. Which would have doomed a lot of other coaches, especially if they got me and your pigment.
Oh, doomed them. Yeah.
But he stays, he wins another title, he gets another opportunity. And basically 2 years, inside of 2 years, guess what? He's up out of there again. Yeah. Now, at some point in time, and I don't mind guys getting second chances, But when your second chance looks a lot like your first chance, I mean, I need to see some improvement that makes me think that, you know what, this guy gets it. Not because you can be a great offensive mind, you can be a great defensive mind, but can you be a guy that can unify guys, 53, not just one side of the ball? Because when you're the OC, all you worry about is the offense. You don't worry about special teams. You don't worry about the day-to-day operations. You don't worry about travel. You don't worry about the defense. You don't worry about your entire coaching staff. You just worry about, I'm the OC. I go, running back coach, but Coach Belichick really oversees all of that. But when you're the head coach, you got all the restaurant. You do all the hiring. You do all the staffing. You set the menu, what we're going to serve today. You do all of that, Ocho. And but I agree with you. And I when I was on First Take on Monday, I told Stephen A, some got to go, some got to give.
Yeah. So the funny thing, when I think about it, I think about the resume when he was in New England, and all the coaches that have been a product of what we call the Bill Belichick system and regime that have coached over with Bill.
The Patriot way, they call it.
Yeah, the Patriot way. I'm starting to think Tom Brady is responsible for everyone getting these jobs, because obviously, regardless of whatever position you did coach at that time, you were winning because of number 12. Because once 12 removed himself from that area or that team, what has happened since then? Now, some of the coaches that have been a part of that coaching tree have went on to succeed, and some haven't. Those that haven't are getting exposed.
They haven't succeeded to the level in which they had number 12. You look at Charlie Weiss, you look at Romeo Cornell, you look at Bill O'Brien. Bill O'Brien had limited success with the Texans.
But it's not fair. Look at some of the teams they went to, though.
Yes.
Some of the teams they had to go to.
But see, that just goes to show you, because if you're that guy, that's not what you told him. You didn't tell that owner when he brought your ass in there that, man, you ain't got no talent. I can't do what I was doing in New England. Yeah. You didn't tell that. You told him you could fix whatever was wrong with the quarterback. You told that owner you could fix it. Whatever was going on with the team, with the morale and the rallying the fans, you told him you can fix it. Now don't get there. Don't talk about, well, we ain't got no talent. It's going to take time. Yes, people will give you time. But you need to show, kind of like what Detroit did with Dan Campbell. You saw every year those guys got better and better, and they fought and fought. And you could tell, know when a team is playing for a coach. You know when they're listening to what he has to say.
I like what you just said. Because that leads me into my next segment as far as what the Raiders should do once the interim coach, once the season is done. Tell me what you think about this, Unc. You talk about Dan Campbell and the way he was able to get the players to respond to them in such a short amount of time in Detroit.
Yes.
What you think about Marshawn Lynch as the head coach for the Raiders?
Man, I don't know if Beast Mode don't want to be no coach, man.
Man, listen,
but Ocho, you know the thing is the number one thing you got to have as a head coach is patience.
Yeah. Oh, he got patience now.
But here's the thing, though.
He's got patience now.
And this is when Prime and I don't talk to Prime as much as we once did, because he and I went to the hall together. We got really, really close after that. We were talking 2 and 3 times a week.
Yes, sir.
And even when he went to Jackson State, but now I know he's busy. He has a lot more on his plate, so I don't bother him nearly as much. The thing that I've always been most impressed with him was patience.
Yeah.
Because when you are a great player, you expect, and he tells me all the time, he said, they not me.
Right.
He said, so I shouldn't expect them to be able to do what I did.
Right.
That's why most of the time, the best coaches or the best general managers didn't play the sport, or they weren't very good when they did.
Right.
Because we have an expectation. That's why I couldn't coach, because I'm like, bro, how did we practice this all week? We give you the first 15. We tell you the night before the 15 plays that we're going to start the game with. And then we go over them again right before the game. And I'll be damned if you don't go blow.
Right there and mess them up. But listen, I like where you're going with that, but I'm thinking from a player's perspective, look what Dan Campbell was able to do.
Yes.
Look what Prime was able to do at the collegiate level.
Yes.
Having somebody, I know it's far-fetched. I just love the idea of it. So if I was playing in today's game, if I was Davante Adams, if I was a player on that Raiders team, just having someone with the likes of Beast Mode, even though he doesn't have the experience as a head, was shit. He did goddamn Jeff Saturday too when the coach brought his motherfucking ass in. Goddamn come be an interim.
Matt Miller. Matt Millen was an analyst.
Yeah,
and
listen,
Detroit hired him to be the GM.
the same way. Listen, Mark Davis, you love to make a splash. You love to bring in a name. That is something that you always like to do. Here's your opportunity to do it. Change the landscape. Go the complete opposite way everybody expects you to go, and watch how the team responds. I guarantee you,